Being threatened by a governing body? Don't worry.
Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
Hey, what's up guys? Hope you like the new intro. So let's get straight into this video, which is all about the dark side of being a property investor or an entrepreneur. And that is dealing with governing bodies on various different projects across various different departments, typically in the public sector. And look, if you are already involved in property, this will not be new news to you. You would have had a council tax bill, which turns into a magistrate's court letter really quickly, just while you're trying to resolve the issue. This is my advice. This is my way of battering it back. You do not have to bow to every single threat that hits your doorstep. So before we get into the video, I just need you to do me a huge favor and smash the like button, and don't forget to hit subscribe. So let's get straight into this one. So what am I talking about? Look, I am talking about people in the public sector who are so quick to jump from a correspondence or a letter straight into some form of threat of action. And if you're new to property or any form of business where you haven't experienced this before, you will stand up, take note, and be really worried. But you shouldn't act too rationally if you believe you are in the right. And this is really the difference. If you believe you're in the right and that local authority department has got it wrong, then you should fight your corner. But if you know you're in the wrong, my advice is to pay the money and move it off your desk and focus it on something more positive. If you're like me, when you have something which is incorrect on your doorstep, you typically want to fight it. And I'm talking about anything from literally a council tax bill being wrong, right through to an enforcement for an environment agency for something which is, again, not 100% accurate, right through to appealing a planning decision, even though you're being told by the planning department that it's never going to pass. My view is you should always fight this. And early on, when I was relatively new to property, anytime I got a letter or an enforcement or any form of notice, I would literally just pick up the phone and jump straight to trying to resolve it. But what I was doing was actually creating what was an easy target for all of these various departments, because I was willing to do everything that they asked for, even though they didn't necessarily have the authority to get me to do what they wanted. I just bowed to it. And all of a sudden, I started getting like letters and visits from HMO officers all the time, because I was making their job really easy. They could talk about me of someone who they made a suggestion to, and then I just did the work. And then slowly but surely, I started taking some advice. And the reality is that not every suggestion is lawful, and not every enforcement threat is warranted. And you can bat these things back. And I strongly urge you to do so, because when you are in the right, a job's worth individual will still fight his or her corner, because they want to be seen to be not wrong and not wasting their time, and more importantly, not wasting taxpayers' money. And even over the last couple of years in this pandemic, I've had people from the Environment Agency write to me threatening action for something that I haven't done wrong when we've obtained the correct amount of permissions. And when you present them with the facts, guess what? They go away. Even this week, I've had an enforcement officer from planning write to me that they're going to enforce, quite aggressive with me when I spoke to him over the phone. And it turns out that he'd completely missed the approval which was satisfied in one of my conditions. So it's not to say they don't know that they're wrong, but when they are wrong, they tend not to want to listen. And this just stems everything right back to when you are an entrepreneur or a business owner, you need to put yourself into a position of strength and be in a position where you're happy to literally fight anything that is brought in front of you which is wrong. I mean, take council tax, for example. I spend my life emailing the council tax department. I don't phone them anymore, it's a waste of time because they never record the calls correctly in the data log, and the chances are the person that you speak to will be gone in 6 months' time because it's a crap job for them. They probably get a pretty hard time off everyone they speak to, so the churn rate is really high. So there's new members of staff all the time. So I now cover my back and I put everything in an email in writing. And literally I've got 3 properties where the banding is incorrectly. I've got one for a HMO where it's being classed as an individual room by room HMO, even though it's rented on one AST. But the difference between the two means that I'm liable for the council tax. But I'm not, because the banding is incorrect. I've got 2 other properties which are not habitable, so they need to be removed from the council tax banding. And some of my interaction with the council tax department has been going on for years. I'm talking like 3 years. And the valuation office, they keep getting things wrong. They lose paperwork. The amount of times me and my colleagues have sent ASTs, it's got to be in literally the dozens of times. Anyway, it finally landed on my desk where they sent me a magistrate's court hearing for some council tax. And because I knew that they were incorrect and the bandings were wrong, but also I'd remained in communication and I'd sent countless emails over the last few years, I called them up and I said, look, with all due respect, I'm happy to attend the court because you guys are wrong. And I've got all the evidence here to show that I've been trying to get you to resolve this. But all you do is send me a bill, never respond to my points. Today, I had the individual who would go to court on behalf of the council tax department call me. And actually a really sensible guy, really down to earth, wasn't just reading text off a computer. And he said to me that he recognises that if we go to court, that he is not going to win because of all the evidence presented in front of him. So he asked me if I was willing to work with him to resolving the issues there and then. And absolutely, that's exactly what I've always wanted to do. I don't want to spend my time talking to someone about how wrong the council tax department is and wasting time sending countless emails for no one to ever to respond. I want to speak to someone to resolve it so I can forget about it and move on to the important things, which is property investing and development. And within about 10 minutes, this chap and I had a really sensible conversation. All 3 issues were resolved and I went off sailing into the sunset, getting on with my day. But had I have listened to the threats and the letters asking me to pay these bills, if not, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, then I would have just lost out on that money. And too many people do just pay these bills without questioning them or without challenging them, without fighting them. And the reality is the governing bodies, the individuals, the jobs worth behind all of these different departments who are not working in the real world, the jobs worth, they need to be taught a lesson. And people like me and you will only be able to do that if we continue to challenge them and bat their rubbish back. Hope you found that midweek video a little bit inspiring to keep fighting these bastards. Hope you found the content rich. Stay safe. I'll catch you all on the next video. Cue the new intro.
Fire it out, another rocket shot. Turn down for what?